Many of you will have already heard that this week the Archbishop of Canterbury resigned his position in response to criticism he's received about the handling of a case of misconduct in the Church of England. While we in the ACNA are not in communion with Canterbury or the Church of England, nonetheless this is a very high-profile Anglican leader who has made this resignation, and it underlines a couple of things that I want to talk about. The first is this. Just that this has happened is incredibly sobering to us. It remains sobering, and it distresses us, and appropriately distresses us. It is tragic and horrible that vulnerable people, children in particular, encounter, instead of life and health and hope and home, grace and affirmation, all those sorts of good things in the life of the church, instead are harmed by ministers of the gospel. It is tragic, it is sobering, and it is something that I think invites us to repentance, individually and corporately, for the way we fail in this manner. And we ask the grace and mercy of God upon us. And while it is also sobering, it also underlines the importance of having good policies around the protection of and the safety of children and adults in the life of our churches. And in fact, to have those policies and to follow those policies. It is our job, to the best of our ability, to do our very best to make sure that people are protected and are as safe as they possibly can in the life of the church. And that is incredibly important. And given, of course, that this resignation comes out of the reality of mishandling of some allegations, it's also really important that we have a clear procedure of what we do when we receive allegations. You know, it's sometimes very hard for us to believe that someone who has done great things for the gospel, have proclaimed Jesus, who has been successful in ministry, could possibly have done something bad or harmful. And so sometimes it's hard to take those allegations seriously, but it is our task to take them seriously. It's our job, regardless of why we can't imagine this, to find out actually what is true and what is not, and then respond to what is true and respond appropriately. Sometimes that response is a reporting to civil authorities. Often that response is to go through a church discipline process. But regardless, it's very important that we take these things seriously and suspend our prejudices one way or the other to find out what is true. This, of course, underlines the importance of work we're involved in right now in the life of the diocese. I've appointed a task force to put together, to roll out, indeed, a new revised and refreshed policy on child and adult safety in our churches, and also to work on a protocol and a procedure to respond to allegations of misconduct that is consistent with and compliant to the minimum standards set out for us by the ACNA, the Anglican Church in North America, in their canons this past summer. And that's important work that we really need to be doing, and this event really underlines it afresh for us. I do want to say one other thing, although, about this that struck me as I read one of the reports. One of the reports made a comment that the perpetrator of these events in the Church of England eventually died without being brought to justice. And I want to assure you that if we have died, justice has been seen. The Lord brings justice. There is justice in this world is always, in my mind, imperfect. It is never perfect, ideal justice because it is mitigated by many, many different things. But the promise of what comes at the end is that God serves perfect justice in all things. His love, His justice, His mercy, all of those things are together in the end. And while I don't expect, of course, the Associated Press to have great theology, I think we should have great theology and understand that God, in the end, is always a God of truth and justice. And we can be assured that justice under Him is always beautifully and perfectly served.